Welcome back to Betrayed. We're thankful for your support. Where are you tuning in from? We always enjoy seeing who shares these unbelievable moments. Now, today's story about a cheating wife begins. For the longest time, I believed I was a good husband, someone who trusted easily and always gave people the benefit of the doubt. I wasn't the type to go through my wife's phone or question her every move. I didn't think there was a need for jealousy or unnecessary arguments. To me, love meant trust, and I believed that trust alone was enough. My wife, Vanessa, wasn't a bad person. In many ways, she was charming and full of energy. But she had a habit I ignored for far too long. She liked testing limits, pushing boundaries, just to see how far she could go before I would react. Sometimes it was small things, spending too much money on things we didn't need, or staying out later than she promised. I told myself it was harmless, not worth making a big deal out of. But other times, I felt something different, like she was doing it on purpose. There was a silent challenge in her eyes, like she was waiting to see if I would finally stand up for myself. And then there was Jake. I knew his type. I had seen it before. Jake was Vanessa's friend. Or at least, that's what she claimed. But he wasn't just any friend. He was her ex. And no matter how much time had passed, I knew one thing for sure. Men like him don't stick around for no reason. They wait. They linger in the background, wearing the mask of a friendly, supportive companion, just waiting for their moment. I had told Vanessa more than once that I didn't trust him. I wasn't the kind of husband who got jealous for no reason. But every time I brought it up, she brushed it off. "You're overthinking it," she'd say. "He's just a friend, Richard. Stop being so insecure. Honestly, he's like a brother to me." All the usual lines. All the same reassurances. And I wanted to believe her, so I let it go, over and over again. But trust has its limits. And one day, she was going to find out exactly where mine ended. It was a quiet evening. Vanessa and I were sitting together in the living room, the soft hum of the TV filling the silence between us. She was casually scrolling through her phone, chatting about her day, when she mentioned it, like it was just another piece of news. "Some of my old friends are planning a weekend trip. A beach house in the Bahamas. It'll be fun, just catching up, relaxing, reliving the old days." On the surface, it sounded harmless. I'd never been the type to control where she went or who she spent time with. We always valued our independence, our ability to live our own lives while still sharing them together. But then she said something that made my stomach tighten. "Jake's going too." The moment she said his name, I knew this wasn't just a casual update. There was something intentional in the way she said it, a slight pause, like she was waiting to see how I'd react. Waiting to see if I'd object, if I'd tell her not to go. And that's exactly what she wanted. For years, I had warned her about Jake. Not because I was paranoid, but because I understood the situation. I knew exactly what Jake was. He wasn't just some harmless friend. He was a man waiting for his chance. And I wasn't going to pretend otherwise. But this time, I didn't react the way Vanessa expected. I didn't argue. I didn't remind her why Jake was a problem. I didn't list all the times I had let things slide. I simply looked at her, my voice calm and steady. "If you go, don't bother coming back." She blinked, clearly surprised. Then she laughed. "God, Richard, you're so dramatic," she said, rolling her eyes with a smirk, like I was being ridiculous. Then came the usual excuses, the same ones she always gave when I shared my concerns. "You're overreacting. Jake's just a friend. You need to stop being so insecure." I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. "Do what you want," I said simply. And I meant it. She thought I was bluffing like I always had been. She had no idea that this time, I was completely serious. On the morning of her trip, she moved around the house like nothing had changed, humming to herself while packing, carefully folding her clothes, checking her phone every few minutes. She was probably replying in the group chat about the trip. Now and then, she glanced at me, expecting me to say something, to remind her of what I had told her. But I didn't. I just watched. When she was finished, she rolled her suitcase to the front door and walked over to me. She leaned down and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, just like she always did before going on any trip. "Love you," she said, her tone light and dismissive, as if my warning 2 days earlier had never happened. Then, without another word, she grabbed her keys and walked out the door. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. I just stood at the window, watching as she tossed her suitcase into the trunk of the taxi, slid into the passenger seat, and disappeared down the road. The moment she was gone, I picked up my phone. It was time to set things in motion. The moment Vanessa's taxi turned the corner and disappeared from view, I stood up, took a deep breath, and got to work. I had already made my decision. Now it was time to act on it. First, the locks. I had scheduled a locksmith the day before, anticipating this exact moment. Within an hour, the house was secured. The keys Vanessa kept in her purse were now useless. She would return expecting everything to be the same, but when she arrived, she'd find a locked door and a life that no longer welcomed her. Next, her belongings. I walked into our bedroom, her side of the closet, the vanity full of perfumes, the drawers neatly packed with clothes. One by one, I packed it all, her dresses, her shoes, her makeup arranged just the way she liked it every morning. Every piece of her left in the house was carefully boxed and labeled, ready to be delivered to her parents' home. I didn't want her to have any reason to come back, not even for a forgotten sweater. And finally, the last step, the divorce papers. I picked up my phone and called my lawyer. "I'm ready," I told him. "Make it official." There was no hesitation in my voice, no second-guessing, no regret. This wasn't an empty threat. Vanessa had spent years thinking she could test my limits, push the boundaries, and I would always forgive her. She thought she had me figured out, that I would grumble, maybe give her the silent treatment, but eventually let it go. But this time it was different. This time I was done. For the rest of the day, I moved through the house with quiet purpose. The home we had once shared felt different now, lighter, freer. The weight of doubt, mistrust, and years of ignoring my instincts had finally lifted. By the time I went to bed that night, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: peace. Vanessa thought she was going on a fun getaway. She had no idea that when she came back, everything would be different. She had made her choice. Now, she would have to live with it. I hadn't given Vanessa much thought in the days after she left. As far as I was concerned, she was part of my past. The decision had been made, the plans carried out, and I was ready to move forward. I figured she was still at the beach house, sipping cocktails, laughing with friends, completely unaware that her home was no longer hers. But then, on the fourth day, 3 days earlier than expected, she came back. The first sign was a notification on my phone. The security camera at the front door had detected movement. Curious, I opened the live feed. There she was. Vanessa stood on the porch, bags at her feet, looking casual as she reached for the doorknob. She turned it, expecting to walk inside like nothing had changed. But the door didn't open. She frowned. Tried again. Then again. And again. I watched as confusion spread across her face, her eyebrows drawing together as realization slowly sank in. She leaned closer, inspecting the lock. And in that moment, she understood. It had been changed. Her hand went straight to her phone, and seconds later, mine began to ring. I let it ring a few times before answering. "Richard," she breathed, her voice already shaking. "The door won't open." I kept my tone calm, detached. "You don't live here anymore." Silence. I could hear her breathing, uneven, shaky, like she was struggling to process what I had just said. "Your things are at your parents' house," I continued. "Expect the divorce papers in a week or 2. More silence. Then her voice returned, desperate now. "Richard, please wait. Let me just..." I ended the call before she could finish. Seconds later, my phone buzzed again. Her name flashed across the screen. Once, twice, 3 times. I ignored every call. When the calls went unanswered, the messages started. "Richard, please talk to me. I messed up. I'm so sorry. It's not what it looks like." I sat there, staring at my phone as the notifications piled up. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I felt nothing. This was the same woman who had laughed in my face when I asked her not to go. The same woman who had kissed me goodbye, completely sure I wouldn't do a damn thing about it. And now? Now she was begging. Another message came through. Please pick up. There's something I need to tell you. I checked the camera feed again. Vanessa was pacing the porch, her face red, hands shaking. She looked frantic, running her fingers through her hair, probably wondering how everything had gone so wrong, so fast. Then the messages stopped. Instead, she sent a voice note. I hesitated for a moment, then pressed play. The moment her voice came through, I could hear it. This wasn't just guilt or regret. This was fear. Her voice was raw and trembling. Richard, please listen to me. You were right about Jake. I should have listened to you. I swear, I never expected any of this to happen. She took a shaky breath, her words spilling out between sobs. I drank too much, and when I woke up, something happened. Jake recorded it. He's blackmailing me. Her breath caught, and I could hear the panic rising. I didn't want you to find out like this. I didn't know what to do. Please, Richard. I need you. I sat there listening, letting her desperation fill the quiet of my home. She was scared, not just because she'd made a mistake, but because she had lost control. The man she trusted had betrayed her. And now, she wanted me to fix it. Once, maybe I would have. Once, I might have let my heart soften, convinced myself that love meant forgiveness. But that man, the one who ignored his instincts and let himself be disrespected again and again, was gone. I typed out one last message. Enjoy your life, Vanessa. You made your choice, now live with it. Then I blocked her. That was it, the final chapter in a story I should have ended a long time ago. I never looked back, never checked in to see how she was doing, never asked mutual friends for updates. She had spent years believing she could test my limits, that I would always forgive. She was wrong. From what I heard, it didn't take long for her life to fall apart. Her parents weren't happy. They didn't know everything, but they knew enough. They knew she had walked away from a good marriage, that she had ignored my warning, that she returned home to find herself locked out of the life she thought still belonged to her. Her father was furious. He had always respected me, saw me as a steady, reliable man who took care of his daughter. Now, he was forced to take her back in because she had nowhere else to go. Her friends weren't much better. A few reached out, trying to justify what happened. Richard, she's really sorry. You don't have to end things over one mistake. At least hear her out. I ignored every single one. They weren't the ones who had to live with her choices. I was. Then there was Jake, the man she had risked everything for. The moment he realized there was trouble, he disappeared. When Vanessa started talking about how he had recorded her without consent, he knew exactly what that meant. He ghosted her completely. The man she chose over me wouldn't even answer her calls. And so, there she was alone, humiliated, full of regret. Meanwhile, I moved on. I focused on my work, my life, my future. I refused to waste even a second wondering if she missed me, if she had finally realized just how badly she had messed up. But deep down, I already knew. Some mistakes can't be undone. Some choices carry consequences you can't escape. Vanessa thought I was bluffing. She thought I was making an empty threat. She was wrong. Some lessons in life come softly, like a gentle nudge, steering you in the right direction. Others hit like a storm, shaking the very foundation beneath your feet. This story isn't just about betrayal. It's about boundaries, about knowing when enough is enough. For years, Richard ignored the warning signs, convincing himself that trust meant turning a blind eye, that love meant patience, even when that patience was mistaken for weakness. But trust is a two-way street, and respect should never have to be demanded. Vanessa thought she could keep pushing. She believed the limits Richard set were flexible, negotiable. But life has a way of teaching us. Some lines, once crossed, can never be redrawn. And when someone shows you, again and again, that they don't respect you, that they don't value what you bring to the table, the hardest and bravest thing you can do is walk away. What do you think? Have you ever had to set a boundary someone refused to respect? Did you ever reach your breaking point? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, take care. And remember, knowing your worth isn't just about what you're willing to give, it's also about what you refuse to accept.